Hi, my name is Catherine Dorsette. I am originally from the nature isle of the Caribbean, Dominica. I was born and raised there, but I have been living on Montserrat for the past almost 25 years. So it's my second home away from home. And Montserrat is special to me because I actually published my first book on Montserrat. I began writing when I was 9 years old, and I published my first book when I was 38. I came to Montserrat at 45, and so it really holds a special meaning for me. But of course, home is always home. So today I just want to talk a little bit about my new book, Sunset at Dawn, which was published in March of this year. It is based on a historical event some 257 years ago, exactly on March 17, 2025. Gave it 257 years. So Sunset at Dawn is based on a young man. His name is Kujo, born of violence on the Caribbean island of Montserrat. He's a son of an enslaved teenager and the brutal plantation owner, which is Master McFadden. Although he bears the secret of a lineage, a special lineage, he still suffers the same fate as his peers. As he matures, he falls in love, deeply in love, with a spirited young enslaved woman named Nika. But their love is crushed when Master McFadden claims Nika for himself and forces Kujo into an unwanted marriage. Fueled by heartbreak and a fierce determination to free his people from that kind of bondage, Kujo becomes the architect of a riot, a rebellion, a bold rebellion. The plan? Strike on St. Patrick's Day. When they're having the celebration, there'll be chaos and drinking of the nice black sugarcane rum. And so the evil Irish overseers will not be prepared. So that will be the best time to strike and catch them. And of course, free his people. But as in life and everything else, betrayal brews in the shadows. Jealousy, vengeance, and the fury of a scorned woman threatens to unravel everything. So, Sunset at Dawn is a story of forbidden love, resistance, and the high cost of freedom. So that's Sunset at Dawn. In the background, you may be able to see some of my other books. Sunset at Dawn brings my publication to 18 so far. I'm actually working on my 19th one, which is The Ryans. It is actually, it's like a reunion for the trilogy, the Fire on Montserrat trilogy. So The Ryans, Fire on Montserrat, 10 years later. It's about big business and politics. It's the whole works. So that's what I'm working on. And I've also started my Auntie Kate Mac and Mara mystery series. My readers are going to love this. You are going to love it. So I'm working on that as well. And one of the things I think I would like to say to any young person, or doesn't matter what your age is, how old you are, how young you are, if you want to write, if you love writing, you want to express yourself, just write. Just write. Because nobody can tell your story like you do. And it makes it easier for you if you start writing about things that you know. For example, you may want to start keeping a diary, how your day goes. Or you may want to make a list of the things you'd like to accomplish before you reach a certain age. You know, things like that. Or you might want to say, well, you have a a note, where would I like to be, where I would like to be 5 years from now. Try to make it smart. Don't make it so, outlandish that it depresses you because it's so hard to meet. But don't make it so easy that you become bored and become complacent, because that is easy to do. So you have to find the balance, and only you can find that balance. Another thing is, nobody can stop you from becoming your very best self. The only person who can do that is you. Only you can stop you. In terms of publishing, when I first started to publish, it was very, very expensive. I first started with Author House. My first 3 books, Antique Short Stories, Youth Power, and The Wolf of a Man. It cost me over 3,000 EC dollars. That may not be much, but for me, at the time, it was a whole ton of money. And I told myself, oh dear, it seems like this writing thing is not for me. Because no matter how much I love it, I won't be able to sustain it. And so I was part of a group of adjudicators who were judging a short story competition on Montserrat. And one of the judges said he had just published a book, and I was so excited. And I asked him about it. I also told him about my experience, because I told him I don't think I'm ever going to write again. I will write, but I'm not going to publish because it's just too expensive. And he said, haven't you heard of Create Space? I hadn't. So I researched it, and lo and behold, like they would say in French, ooh la la, this is a writer's paradise. And so over there in Create Space, I got to do everything. Typeset, create my covers. I did everything myself, and the book became live. The only thing is, to get the book, I had to pay for it, but everything else, there was no upfront cost. Create Space no longer exists, but it is now called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and the same opportunities, privileges apply. No upfront cost. You get to print. The only problem for us in the Caribbean, because we are international authors, because we're not based in Europe, in America, those places, we have to agree to the prices that they give us for our books, which are a lot more expensive than their other books. And of course, with AI now, persons who do not even have a passion for writing, do not have a passion for expressing themselves, for telling stories, they just spew out words, a million a second. They have books, they are published, and they sell this for pennies. Compared to us, who, this is a work of art. We do quality work, not only in the Caribbean, of course, but we do quality work. And then we're forced to make the price so high that, for those of you who are published, I think you have an idea what I'm talking about. But one of the things Sam was telling us, Sam George, he had the self-publishing workshop yesterday actually. That was August 28th. And he was talking about a little bit about marketing a book. There's another workshop coming up on that, but he did mention it. So you have to put yourself out there. I remember at a workshop, we were doing a marketing workshop, and I was so excited. I was telling the facilitator on when you go to Google, if you Google Catherine Dorsette, the first, without exaggeration, the first 16 pages are all about me and my books and my website. So I was excited about this. And he looked at me and he asked me, what is there to be so excited about? I thought that's a strange kind of response. I wasn't sure what to respond. I was just thinking, he's kind of cold, he's hard. But his next words actually were very sobering. He said, who knows Catherine Dorsette? And was, okay, I got you. Yes, the first 16 pages, when you Google Catherine Dorsette, they're there. But who is looking for Catherine Dorsette? Do they know you? Do they know that you have products out there that they want to go and look for it? And so that kind of lit a fire under me to start promoting my work. And I do as much as I can, but promotion is a full-time job. I'm working full-time with the government. I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother, I'm a businesswoman. So it's going to take some doing, but you definitely need to promote your work. You need to promote it. I have Facebook. I have a special authors page on Facebook. I also have an authors page on Amazon, and sometimes I use pictures of my books, do little write-ups, make it interesting, and I would post it on Facebook, do it on with my contacts, do a little something on Instagram, even a little something on TikTok. You know, no matter how old you are, you kind of get in the groove, because you know the trend. You have to get there. If you do not want to be left back, you have to go on. And so this is where I'm at. I'm trying to promote my work as much as I can, and it would be remiss of me if I did not mention the Peter Noir group, writing group. I have found so much support in the Peter Noir writing group with our 3 anthologies, the Flying Quapo Collective. They are wonderful, and we're now working on the 4th. It's all for made up of, I think, Dominican writers, only Dominican writers, descendants of Dominican descendants, that kind of thing, the Dominican connection. And it's also as a means of having an archives for our stories, because after a while, let us say Amazon shuts down, do we have somewhere where the generations who come after us can, you know, get an idea of how we thought, what existed before them, you know, things like that. And talking about things that existed before the generation which is to come after us, my story, the trilogy, Fire and Montserrat trilogy, is actually also based on a historical event. In 1995, the Sophia Hills volcano on Montserrat erupted, and there was a mass exodus from the country, from the almost 15,000 persons. When the exodus occurred, when the people left, we were down to 6 and 5, and even now we are just now getting above 4,000 persons living on the island of Montserrat. But in 2015, we were celebrating 20 years of living with a live volcano, and it was a big to-do. Everybody was talking about it, giving praise. We have day of worship and everything, because it's by God's grace that the island still exists. But it exists. Everything is happening like any other country in the world, any other Caribbean country. And I wanted to participate, but I wasn't sure what I could do, because everything that had to be said about this had been said. CNN, BBC, every media house you can think of had done something on the volcanic eruption and 20 years living for a live volcano. And so I told myself, but hey, Catherine, you're a writer and you love romance, so why not write a story? And I did. I got 2 young lovers separated by the volcano, returning for the reunion in 2015, 20 years later, and meeting up again and trying to see if the spark was still there. And my readers were, they received it very well. We had Melissa Ogaro. Oh, let me tell you, the way she told me she enjoyed the book, wanted me to just run home and start writing again. And we have Shirley Spikala, Kate Knapp Ambler, Catherine Duran Jakes. They are my co-readers. There are others. You can't remember everyone, and I'm sorry for not remembering everybody right now. But they are my co-readers. And they said, Catherine, these characters are so relatable. It's like, I feel like I know them. We want more. I hadn't thought of writing anything else, just that one book. But their enthusiasm spurred me on. And I said, okay, I'll do a sequel. So I did Jordan. And when they read Jordan, they wanted more. I said, oh my goodness. Okay, So I did A Woman Like Us, and I said, okay, this is it. This is it. The trilogy is done. So the trilogy is out there. You can only read one. It stands alone. Whichever one you choose stands alone. Or give yourself a treat. Like Anthony Drago said when he interviewed me, it's like a whole meal. You know, you have one dish, you have the side dishes, so you have all three, you can enjoy that. But the amazing thing about Fire on Montserrat, when I wrote it, somebody called one night while I was at home, and she wanted to know if I had killed off Kyla. She said, when the phone rang, and I answered, she said, Catherine, don't tell me you killed Kyla. For a moment, I was taken aback. I was wondering, well, what is that person on about? And she said, Kyla. And, you know, it dawned on me. She was talking about Kyla in Fire on Montserrat. I said, no, she's not dead. Just read the story. And she was so happy because she thought I had killed off Kyla, because Kyla had gotten into an accident and she was gravely ill and she couldn't wait. She didn't turn over to the rest of the pages to see whether Kyla had died or not. She just stopped, called me, and wanted to know, did you kill her? I said, no, I did not kill her. And she continued reading her book. So these are some of the antidotes. I like to share anecdotes. I want to share. And what else can I think about for a person who is just getting into writing? One of the things you have to tell yourself when you want to write, before you even think of what people will think about your writing, which can be very discouraging if you set your mind to what people might think about what you write, the first thing you have to do is, do you really want to write? What do you want to say? Not to anybody else, just what do you want to say? How do you want to say it? And why? Why do you want to say it? Why do you want to, even if you do not put it for sale, but why do you want to write it? Once you have those reasons and you are comfortable with those reasons, just write. Just write. And the more you write, practice makes perfect. The more you write, the better you will get at it. And after you're through writing about your day, your dreams, your imagination sparks, and you start writing about things that happen in other worlds, or things that are happening around you, but you do it so creatively that even you might surprise yourself. So writing for me is like breathing. If I do not write, I will be very depressed. I was asked once, what would I do if I was ordered on the point of death never to write again? To me, writing is pen and paper or typing. So I say, well, I'll record it. I'll dictate my stories. But one way or the other, some story would come out of me. So that was a fun question. Another thing is, when you write, especially if you, depending on what you choose to write about, if you choose non-fiction, the very word non-fiction says you really have to do your research and be sure that what you're putting out there can be verified, because that is basically what non-fiction means, and I'm sure you get that. And even with your fiction, the stories of fiction, your creative writing, you still have to be careful how you write in a way that persons, somebody cannot say, although people may say that she's talking about me, but it has to be in such a way that other persons who read your book cannot just say, oh, she's talking about the guitar, or she's talking about the chair. You know, that kind of thing. You have to be careful how you write, because the pen is a powerful tool. I learned that as a journalist. I used to cause so much trouble as a journalist. I loved my front pages. They were always exposes, and our papers sold very well. But you have to be careful, because people will talk to you, give you an interview, but then when they see in black and white, they like to recant and say, I didn't say that, I never meant that. So things like that, you have to be careful. So even in your stories, if you're doing research, or if it's just, just your imagination, you run along with it, just balance it. Be careful with the wording. And even if you're using, if you're making it fictional but based on real life, you just want to be careful with that as well, with the expressions, names, people's names especially, and things like that. Another point on writing, you don't have to follow the norm. One of the reasons I no longer go to writing workshops, but that is just me. It's not that they're not good, they are. But I'm a pantser. I get an idea, I sit and I write. That's it. And I decided, okay, if I want to enhance my craft, I want to make it perfect, I need to go to the workshop that these persons they're selling their books. What is it that I'm not doing, And so I attended a workshop, and they were talking about you have to plot, you have to outline, whichever one comes first, plotting, outlining, and then you have to build up your characters. And it just didn't resonate with me, because that's just, I just do it differently. The idea of planning the story, what happens in that chapter, it kills me. It takes away the joy of writing. When I start a story, I never know how my book is going to end. Even I am surprised at the ending sometimes. And so I sometimes find it difficult to teach creative writing, because I'm unorthodox in my approach to it. However, because I do want to help others get that passion for writing and storytelling, I have researched some work on plotting and outlining, so that when I talk to the young students, because sometimes I have a creative writing workshop for the first formers who are going into the 6th graders who are becoming first formers for secondary school. I did a creative writing workshop for them, and I had to do some research, because the way I write, there's no way I can explain what I do, not the way that I do it. There's no way I can explain it. So I did the research and I helped them with that. But the idea was for them to write about things that they know. They woke up in the morning, whatever it is they had to do, they alighted from the bus and came to the workshop. Just that period of time. Some of them were afraid, they were nervous, because some did not like language, English. They do not like to express themselves, and they were not too comfortable. And I told them, look, it is about you. You can be whoever you want. This is your life. You can say it any way you want. And I was pleasantly surprised at where the thoughts took them. Because some persons went to sleep, got up like a queen, a princess, a prince, reggae stars. And if you if you read their stories of what happened from waking up to getting to the workshop, you would be so amazed. So they had prizes. I gave them some prizes, and it was really good. And that is what I would love to continue doing, because I really want a core of young writers to learn to tell your own story. We in the Caribbean, we have a special way of telling our stories, our stories, because the Caribbean is a melting pot of nationalities. Yes, in America, in France, in Germany, yeah, they are melting pots too, because different nationalities live there, but the Caribbean is just unique, and our ways of telling stories just can't be beat, and so I would really like young persons to pick that up. And I also have writing tips on my website, CatherineDorsette.com. Just write. I have also collaborated with other authors, famous authors actually, like Harold Bascom. He's an award-winning playwright, writer and painter. He did 6 months of writing tips, and another honorable author as well is Marsha Maggie Gomez. She's wonderful. She writes on everything you can think of, and she also did 6 months of writing tips. I did it for 6 months, then Harold Bascom did the second 6 months, and Marsha did the last 6 months. I am trying to collaborate with some other authors to do some more writing tips on about. Marsha did something on some tips on independent self-publishing, marketing, and so on, which was really good. If you check my website, you want to write, the writing tips are all there for you. All of my books are on my website. The writing tips are there. I have a blog that's all about my writing journey, and I also have some movies on my website based on my books. So all of that, you may want to find out about it, and just have a go, have a read, and support us. Let us support each other with our writing and our Caribbean storytelling. And just write.